The studio lights blazing down on Piers Morgan's face during that early January 2026 broadcast seemed sharper, almost predatory, illuminating a triumph that sent a chill through the production crew watching from the shadows. The atmosphere in the studio, usually buzzing with the controlled chaos of live television, thickened instantly into a suffocating silence as the veteran host raised a single eyebrow, staring down the camera lens with the intensity of a prosecutor about to deliver a closing argument. He was preparing to drop a media payload with enough explosive force to shatter the fragile peace on both sides of the Atlantic. Prince Harry was preparing to file for divorce from Meghan Markle. The words hung in the air, heavy and irrevocable. Piers didn't just share a rumor. With the terrifying confidence of a man holding an unbeatable hand, he signaled for a graphic to appear on the massive screen behind him. It was a blurred document, yet the seal of a top-tier London family law firm was unmistakable. According to sources Piers deemed unimpeachable, this wasn't just a separation agreement, it was a declaration of war. The draft, secretly prepared under Harry's direction, contained terms of astonishing severity, but the clause that made the world gasp was regarding custody. Harry was not merely seeking joint parenting. He was demanding absolute legal assurance that following the divorce, Meghan would have zero custody rights over Archie and Lilibet. He intended to bring the children back to England, placing them squarely under the protective umbrella of the crown. Instantly, the digital landscape erupted. The hashtag Harry-Meghan divorce rocketed to the #1 global trending spot in under 10 minutes, a digital wildfire fueled by millions of posts converging on a single, bewildered question. Why? Why had Harry, the man who famously torched his bridges with his family, his military identity, and his homeland to protect Meghan, suddenly executed such a ruthless pivot? Piers Morgan, sensing the blood in the water, pressed harder into the doubts the public had only discussed in hushed tones. He postulated dark secrets, hidden corners of Meghan's pre-royal life that had finally been exposed to her husband, shattering his illusions. He spoke of financial cracks in the Archwell Foundation and hinted at manipulation so profound it had taken Harry years to see the wires attached to his limbs. The perfect California facade the Sussexes had painstakingly constructed was being sliced apart on live television. To understand this scorched earth approach, one must rewind to late December 2025. Internal sources report that the silence of the Montecito mansion was broken not by festive cheer, but by the arrival of a message from an old Hollywood acquaintance that pulled Harry into the suffocating depths of his wife's alleged past. He was reportedly stunned by resurrected accusations concerning Meghan's time as a yacht girl, a euphemism for women curating connections with the ultra-wealthy on high-seas excursions, and even more alarming, vague, deeply unsettling whispers linking her indirectly to the dark social circles surrounding Jeffrey Epstein via parties at Soho House. While Harry had always striven to be a modern husband, accepting that everyone has a history, the persistent shadow of Marcus Anderson began to terrify him. Public speculation had long swirled around Marcus, questioning if he was merely the friend who guided Meghan from obscurity to stardom, or if their bond behind the secure doors of Soho House was something far more complex and enduring. Doubt calcified into horror for Harry when he was presented with covert photos, blurry, grainy shadows in the night captured recently, showing what appeared to be Meghan and Marcus in an affectionate, intimate embrace that was decidedly not platonic. Marcus was not a ghost from the past. He was a fixture in their present, appearing at key business events, brokering Netflix deals, and influencing Archwell projects. An agonizing suspicion took root in the prince's heart. Had he ever truly been loved, or was he merely the ultimate networking acquisition, the key that unlocked the highest tier of global fame Meghan had always craved? This external suspicion forced a brutal internal reckoning. Harry began to analyze the fog that had clouded his own mind during their years in California. He was no stranger to substance-induced hazes, having admitted to youthful experiments with cocaine and psychedelics to numb the trauma of his mother's death. He thought he had exorcised those ghosts. Yet, in the oppressive quiet of Montecito, he began to suspect a sophisticated pattern of coercion. He recalled evenings brought to a tense edge by his concerns over excessive spending or risky business ventures. Every time he raised an objection, Meghan's demeanor would shift into an eerily sweet solicitude. She would pour him a tequila, her voice dropping to a hypnotic whisper, telling him he worried too much, that he deserved to be free. She would offer him special stuff from old friends, mushrooms meant to bring him peace. He realized with a shudder that perhaps these weren't acts of love, but tactical maneuvers. When lost in a chemically induced relaxation, he became pliable, yielding to her demands to avoid conflict. Had she deliberately nurtured his weaknesses to ensure his dependence on her counterfeit support? The deeper he dove into the rabbit holes of online discussions and old articles, the more his heart filled with a volcanic rage. It was a profound sense of betrayal that urged him to act, leading him to secretly contact the British lawyers. He had to save himself and his children before the quicksand of her past swallowed them whole. If you are captivated by the hidden machinations and unfolding drama of this royal crisis and want to ensure you don't miss the next revelations concerning the custody battle and Montecito secrets, take a moment now to subscribe to stay completely informed as this story develops. Fate, however, is rarely kind to secret plans. Harry intended to present a fait accompli, but one late afternoon, returning from polo practice, he found Meghan standing frozen in his study, clutching the divorce draft he had failed to secure deeply enough. The air in the room became heavier than lead before an earth-shattering rage erupted. Meghan slammed the file onto the heavy oak desk, the sound cracking like a whip in the terrifyingly quiet room. Her eyes were bloodshot, glaring at her husband not as a partner, but as an existential threat. She accused him of discarding her after she had salvaged his ruined reputation, likening it to his betrayal of his family in England. But this time, Harry didn't retreat. He stepped closer, his breathing heavy, his voice a low growl. He threw her accusations back in her face, citing Marcus Anderson, the Soho House rumors, and the sickening realization that he was her golden ticket. Meghan's expression shifted from shock to a chilling, ruthless coldness. She mocked him for believing tabloid trash, framing herself as a martyr who sacrificed her career for a man living in his mother's shadow. Harry exploded, cutting her off, accusing her of manipulating him with drugs and liquor to keep him weak and compliant so she could run Archwell as her personal piggy bank. The argument culminated in Meghan threatening to unleash a media apocalypse on him, vowing to prove to the world he was an unstable, drug-addled father incapable of caring for Archie and Lilibet. Harry looked at the screaming woman and saw only fragments of a fairy tale illusion shattered on the floor. The following morning, the Montecito mansion felt drained of oxygen, the silence masking cold calculations. Meghan activated a dramatic plan with the decisiveness of a director managing the climax of a thriller. Harry awoke to a terrifying stillness, unaware it was the harbinger of a meticulously planned evacuation. Meghan, using a trusted driver assistant, had Archie and Lilibet whisked away under the pretense of a school run. Instead of their usual route, the car sped toward Los Angeles, to the fortress-like villa of a famous Hollywood ally. From this luxurious hideout, Meghan began constructing her defense, crafting the narrative of a sacrificing mother protecting her children from an unstable father. Back at Montecito, Harry's panic spiraled into fury when he realized the children's rooms were empty and Meghan wasn't answering her phone. When she finally did, her voice was devoid of warmth, delivering a cold ultimatum: drop the custody demands and asset division terms, or he would never succeed. He realized he was fighting a sophisticated media machine. Soon, a calculated leak of a blurry photo showing the children looking sad appeared on social media via Meghan's friend, accompanied by a caption about innocent victims of a broken home. But just as Meghan thought she controlled the narrative high ground, a devastating counterstrike emerged from the shadows. An audio recording from behind the scenes of a past media project leaked, featuring Meghan's sharp, unguarded voice complaining bitterly about Harry's complicated nature and his obsession with old wounds, describing childcare while dealing with his issues as exhausting and an anchor on her ambitions.